Text wrap. Text wrap is one of the most powerful panels, but it's also tends to be one of the more challenging for my students. So what I'm going to show you is how to create some custom text wraps. So I have a text frame that I just created. There's a text frame here, and I'm just going to type fill with placeholder text for the sake of today's lesson. I already have my text wrap set up here, so let me get rid of that. No text wrap. There we go. So when you fill this with placeholder text, this is what it's going to look like. It's going to overlap your images, and it's going to overlap whatever you have on that page. And we don't like that because you can't see it, and it doesn't really look that good. So how I got this text wrap panel, I went to Window, Text Wrap, and this panel showed up. Now this is one of those panels that I highly suggest that you dock to your panels dock over here, because it's one that you're going to use a lot, especially with publication design. You want your text to wrap around your images. You want there to be that break there, or that space between all of the elements on your page. Now, general rule of thumb, like I've said before, is having 1 pica of space between the elements on your page is always a good rule of thumb. So we want to have at least 1 pica of space between our dolphin here and our text. So again, I filled that by going up to type, fill with placeholder text. It'll fill. In fact, I'll finish it off. That way you can see everything that's there. There we go. So text wrap. You're going to select the object that you want it to wrap around. You're not going to select the text, but you're going to select the object that you want your text to wrap around. And there are a bunch of different options here. So option 1 is to wrap around the bounding box. Now that is the frame box. If you have a square or a rectangle like Bruce here, that is probably going to be the easiest and the best bet. And when you do that, you need to decide what size you want. Now mine is set up to picas. I can hit a 1 tab, and because my chain link is activated, it will be consistent along all of the sides. Sometimes, especially if you're dealing with a photo caption or a photo provided by, you might only want the text wrap to be on 1 side, or let's say 3 sides of your box, in which case you would unselect the chain link. Okay, we're unselecting the chain link, and at that point you can set this one to 0, and you would be able to put that text right up against the image that's there. But there would be a wrap around the rest of them, and I can show you that later. Another option, which I think would be best for my dolphin, so my dolphin here has a transparent background. I created a transparent background using Photoshop. And so I want the text to actually wrap around the dolphin, because it's pointless to have a transparent background when your text is just going to be like this and it's going to be square. I want it to kind of create the shape of my dolphin. And that's a really cool effect if you want to create rounder shapes in your design, or if you want to do cutouts, as we all like to call them, of athletes or people who are significant, and you want your text to wrap around those shapes of those people. So I'm going to select this one, wrapping around object shape, and nothing happens. Now, the reason nothing happens is because right now, first of all, I didn't have the dolphin selected. Now it's going to happen, of course. But the reason it happened, and it might not happen on yours right away, okay, is because you have to make sure that your contour options are set correctly. And sometimes it's trial and error to figure out which one really is going to be the best. Okay, so right now this is wrapping around the bounding box. Okay, and that's because that's the type right there, and that's generally the default. You can say detect edges, and what it's going to do is it's going to detect the edges of everything that this dolphin is, or it's going to detect the edges of the dolphin basically, and you can increase or decrease, okay, the amount of space you have between that dolphin and the rest of the elements. Now for this instance, because we have text here, we have our dolphin, I would probably go up probably to 2 picas rather than just the 1, because you do want to create space. You do also need to be careful though that you're not going to create too much of a curve or too much of a weird shape that it's going to be hard for your readers to follow your story or the text that is present here. So please, please, please make sure that you are double checking with somebody that it's readable, it's easy for your readers to read, that it makes sense, that you don't have any super small sentences or group of text that would be distracting to the readers, or where they would lose the place. If somebody takes the time to write the story, you want to make sure that they have time to read it. Other options, alpha channel, graphic frame, same as clipping, these are all different things, but detect edges worked in this instance. So you have your text around here. You can jump an object, which for readability is actually really, really difficult, but that would actually put the dolphin let's see, right in the middle, and you can see it completely messes it up. Or on the top of an object, again, not something that I suggest. Now, you can invert the text, which means it would actually go inside of your text wrap here, and any text that we had, I'm going to move this over here, you can see would kind of go around it. That's kind of a funky thing that you would want to play around with, and you would want to make sure to get right if that was something that you guys chose to do within your publication. You know, you do you, but we don't generally do anything like that. Anyway, include the inside edges. These are all options that you have. You can choose to wrap around the right side, the left side, both left and right, largest area. I generally keep it at both right and left sides. And that's your text wrap. Now, let's say I have created a text wrap on I'm going to create one on Bruce here. And I'm going to say I don't want anything within 1 pica around Bruce. Oh, I need to select my chain link. There we go. 1 pica around Bruce. But we thought it would be really, really cool if I put a number on Bruce for my caption. Okay, so I'm going to create a number, a really stylized number. Let's make it nice and big. We're using this font. Make it 35. We're going to make it ginormous. And then all my captions are going to be over here. So I'm going to have a 1 on top of Bruce. So I go to put it on Bruce, and where did it go? Disappeared. And the reason for that is because I have this text wrap, because I don't want this text to be on it. I don't want this text to be on it. So it's basically pushing my 1 away because of the text wrap. So to get around that, you can go to type. I've lost it. I'm going to show you the more getaway. Right click. When you go to right click, text frame options. There we go. And you can actually choose to ignore a text wrap. You can choose to ignore the text wrap, preview what that looks like, and you can see my 1 has come back. So that was right click, text frame options, ignore text wrap, and if you hit OK, then that will show up. Now I have a stroke. No, I don't have a stroke on that. There we go. So now I have my 1 on Bruce. I know that this text is not going to overlap, and I can show you like physically how that, see, it doesn't, you can move it up all day long. It's not going to overlap with Bruce. And I have my cool wrap around my dolphin with my transparent background. So that is text wrap in a nutshell.